Next story I wanted to talk about is about Gretchen Whitmer. Do you guys remember this? Gretchen Whitmer was the governor, or maybe is still the governor of Michigan. During the pandemic, she was the governor of Michigan. And there was a group of people who created this whole kidnapping plot to kidnap her, and they had a whole plan that they were going to play out on national TV with her and other public officials. They were on the way to do it. They were on their way when they were intercepted by the FBI. It was a really big deal. I think October 2020 when this played out is right before the election, I believe. It's crazy stuff. Well, their trials are going on right now, and there's stuff happening that we need to talk about with this story. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of lead up to this, kind of catch you up and remind you of what happened with this. And then we're going to talk about what's going on now with the trial, because there's some crazy stuff happening at the moment. First story I wanted to glance through here. It's on New York Times. The title is FBI says Michigan anti-government group plotted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. It was written by Nicholas Bogle Burrows, Sheila Dewin, and Kathleen Gray. I apologize for butchering the names. I'm sure I did. Published October 8th, 2020. Updated April 13th, 2021. So let's read this. Storming the state capitol. Instigating a civil war. Abducting a sitting governor ahead of the presidential election. Those were among the plots described by federal and state officials in Michigan on Thursday. Remember, this is written October 8th, of 2020, so it's pretty old. Those are among the plots described by federal and state officials in Michigan on Thursday as they announced terrorism, conspiracy, and weapons charges against 13 men. At least 6 of them, officials said, had hatched a detailed plan to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat who's become a focal point of anti-government views and anger over coronavirus control measures. The group that planned the kidnapping met repeatedly over the summer for firearms training and combat drills and practiced building explosives, the FBI said. Members also gathered several times to discuss the mission, including in the basement of a shop that was accessible only through a trap door under a rug. The men spied on Miss Whitmer's vacation home in August and September, even looking under a highway bridge for places they could place and detonate a bomb to distract the authorities, the FBI said. They indicated that they wanted to take Miss Whitmer hostage before the election in November, and one man said they should take her to a secure location in Wisconsin for a trial that they were going to hold, of course. They're going to hold the trial for her. Mr. Trask was the FBI special agent who filed the criminal complaint, basically, against them. Mr. Trask said that one of those arrested had brought a taser for the mission last week, and that the men had been planning to buy explosives on Wednesday. Court records indicated that at least 5 of the men had been arrested on Wednesday in Ypsilanti, Michigan, I think. I apologize to residents of Ypsilanti, Michigan for butchering the name of your town. I did my best. It was not immediately clear if the 6th man had been taken into custody. I knew this job would be hard, Miss Whitmer said on Thursday in reaction to the news of the arrests, but I'll be honest, I never could have imagined anything like this. Wow. These people, straight up, by the way, this is a picture of one of them, the ringleader, if you're watching and not listening. These people are full-blown Christian extremists. I mean, full-blown right-wing Christian extremists at this point. What do we do with this problem? Seriously, I am so glad the FBI is handling this, honestly. I am so glad we have the FBI doing what they do to make sure that these people are not, succeeding in the plots that they have. Oh my God. That is nuts. Well, now that we're a little bit caught up on it, check this clip out. This is from somebody named Rick Wiles. I haven't covered him in a while. I should probably take a look at what he's up to soon. He had an opinion on this, on Gretchen Whitmer. So let's listen to what old Rick Wiles had to say. He's a televangelist, megachurch pastor kind of fella, the host of True News. I think he's the owner of True News, some supposed quote-unquote news service, if you will, on YouTube and other places. It's an opinion show, kind of like mine, except far, far, far right-wing. So anyway, early October 2020, this is right after all of the arrests took place. Listen to what Rick Wiles had to say about the situation.
Governor Whitmer, who suffered a big political defeat last week when the Michigan Supreme Court said she didn't have the powers that she thought she had. So what happened today? She said that there was a militia plot to kidnap her. Now, I got something to say to the governor. Did you at all stop and think, what are you doing that drives middle-class, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens to think about kidnapping you?
Okay, well, first of all, they're not law-abiding because they were planning to break the law. Just want to make note of that little point, for one thing. And for another thing, there is no justification for that behavior. None. There's no justification for it. You need to find another way. I only believe in violence if there is no other way to get out of the situation and somebody is about to be violent against you, someone else's violence is imminent, no way to avoid it, and or they've used it against you already. There's no other justification in my mind. This guy is straight up justifying these militia people trying to kidnap her. That's what he's doing right now. I mean, this was largely the response from the right.
What are you doing? Are your policies so extreme, so radical?
No, they weren't. They were not that extreme or radical.
That you're pushing people over the line to say we have to get that woman out of the governor's office?
Look, if she was like tying people up and like forcing, like, you know, a Clockwork Orange, forcing their eyes open and making them watch the Teletubbies or something, everybody in town was being forced to watch the Teletubbies or else, I can see real pushback being justified there. Not what they did. That's not justified under any circumstances in my mind. This next article I wanted to look at is titled, "Man Involved in Michigan Governor Kidnapping Plot Said God Gave Him Permission to Kill." Anybody here surprised by that title? This is on the Friendly Atheist website, written by Beth Stoneburner. This is written January 15th, 2021, so it was like 3 months or so after they were charged with their crimes. Barry Croft, 45, of Bear, Delaware, I think, pleaded not guilty and was denied bond during a hearing in federal court in Grand Rapids. Oh my God, I'm so glad that he was denied bail. Croft is the national leader of the Three Percenters, a small militia that participated in the January 6th insurgents at the U.S. Capitol, FBI Special Agent Richard Trask said during the hearing. Croft was saying he was granted permission from God to commit murder. Correct? Kessler asked the FBI agent. Correct, Trask said. This guy believed that he had permission to do this from God. That's where we're at. That's where we are as a country right now. That's where these people's heads are. My God, what is going through their minds? Here's the next article on the subject that I wanted to see. It's on CNN. The title is FBI Raids Home Over Threats Made to Judge, Attorneys, and Potential Witness in Michigan Governor Whitmer Kidnap Plot Trial. The judge, the witnesses, and the attorneys are dealing with threats, and the FBI is raiding people's homes over it. So their trial starts, like Barry Croft and all, you know, the militia group, all of their trials start, and now they're dealing with threats. The judge and the attorneys and everybody and witnesses are dealing with threats. That is nuts. Let's read the article. This is from CNN, written by Lauren Del Valle, I think, or Del Valle. Once again, I apologize for butchering your name. I did my best. Written March 30th, 2022. FBI agents raided a residence on the outskirts of Detroit last Friday in connection to threats made to the judge, 2 defense attorneys, and at least 1 potential witness in the ongoing federal trial of 4 men accused of plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. District Judge Robert Junker and wow, what a last name, man. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. Must not have been fun growing up. And the attorneys for defendants Adam Fox and Barry Croft received threats in connection to the trial, Detroit FBI Special Agent Mara Schneider confirmed to CNN. The nature of the threats has not been disclosed to the public. No arrests have been made in connection to the threats, according to Schneider. It's unclear if the federal courthouse in Grand Rapids has increased security measures for the trial as a result of the threats on trial participants. Prosecutors rested their case Wednesday morning. Fox, Croft, Daniel Harris, and Brandon Caserta, which are the 4 people involved, we'll be reading more about them in a minute, face federal charges for allegedly conspiring to kidnap the Democratic governor in 2020. All have pleaded not guilty. Fox, Croft, and Harris face additional charges of conspiring to use weapons of mass destruction, including explosive devices, according to court documents. Paid confidential informant Stephen Robeson also received threats, according to the FBI. Robeson, who has not yet testified in the case, informed the court that he'll invoke his Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate himself if he's called to testify in a defense case. The dude said he's going to use his Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate himself so he doesn't have to deal with the death threats, presumably. This is real, guys. I mean, this is really happening right now. These people are real, and they plotted and conspired to kidnap a U.S. governor and got caught. This is where the U.S. right is right now. I think Barry Croft, this picture right here, top right, if you're watching, I believe he's the one that was the leader of the 3%ers group, the national leader, I think, of the 3%ers. It's like an extremist group that is obsessed with getting what they want. It is real concerning stuff. Let's just read this little segment about Croft, Barry Croft. He's the leader of the 3%ers. The 46-year-old trucker from Bear, Delaware, is an adherent of the Boogaloo movement, which believes the country is broken and that the politicians should be targeted and attacked, Assistant U.S. Attorney Jonathan Roth said. Croft and Fox attended a meeting of allies in Dublin, Ohio in July 2020. So this was 3 months before the planned kidnapping, I guess. Croft and Fox attended a meeting of allies in Dublin, Ohio, July 2020. So did an informant who recorded Croft saying he was so devoted to an anti-government cause, I might murder a cop. Holy mother. Croft said he was even willing to slash his cheek in an effort to fool face detection technology used by law enforcement. Or you could just wear a mask. Did you ever consider that one? Do you ever think about wearing a mask? People were wearing masks at that time because there was a raging pandemic. Why didn't wearing a mask cross your mind? Why was cutting your face the first thing you considered? Are you serious? Jesus, man. Pull it together. One criminal governor in our possession. We've captured the flag in the state. We can then start to issue terms, Croft said in a video in May 2020. Defense attorney Joshua Blanchard said Croft was targeted by thin-skinned FBI agents who simply didn't like his disgust of government. There was no plan, there was no agreement, and no kidnapping, he said. That's nutty. That is absolutely nutty, dude. We're in a bad place in the U.S. right now, man. That people like this are out there right now. I mean, I know there have always been militia groups out there like this, and I know the FBI has always worked to, resolve that problem, but the size of militia groups is growing right now. The numbers that they have, the level of extremism, and the thing that they're focused on, which is a love for Trump and a hate for Democrats. It is really concerning stuff. Last week, I talked about the Gretchen Whitmer kidnappers, like the people that were involved in the kidnapping plot. There were 5 people total, plus an FBI agent. That made number 6, right? Obviously, the FBI agent didn't get arrested. He blew the whistle on it when they were on their way to go carry this plot out. So there were 5 members of this extremist group that were on their way to kidnap the governor of Michigan. Instead, they had God's backing. Here's where it gets interesting. Guy number 5 turns on the other 4 and says, I will testify against them. I got into this and didn't realize how extreme it was, and I've turned my life around now. He took a plea bargain for, I think, 6.5 years. So he's going to serve 6.5 years in jail. The other 4 went to trial. 2 of the 4 were acquitted. They were acquitted just the other day. Free men. And the other 2, the jury was hung. They couldn't decide. So the judge declared a mistrial. Also free to go. The ringleader, Barry Croft, was the leader of the 3%ers. He was one of the people that had a hung jury. They couldn't decide, so they declared the mistrial and he's free to go. Let's just take a quick glance at this article. No convictions for defendants in Michigan. Governor Whitmer kidnapping trial. A federal jury failed to convict 4 men accused of plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, whom they despised for their restrictions she ordered early in the pandemic. The panel in Grand Rapids considered charges against Daniel Harris, 24, Adam Fox, 38, Barry Croft, 46, and Brandon Caserta, 33, all charged with conspiracy. All but Caserta are also charged with knowingly conspiring to use weapons of mass destruction against persons or property in an alleged plot to slow responding police. That was basically like they were planning to make bombs and plant them under a bridge, and they were going to detonate them when they kidnapped her so that when they get the phone call about the kidnapping, they're more occupied with the bridge bombing than dealing with that. Croft and Harris were also charged with possession of an unregistered destructive device. Harris was charged with possession of a semi-automatic assault rifle that wasn't registered to him. So that's the situation. 4 domestic are walking free now. They're out tonight doing whatever they want, partying it up, drinking probably with their friends. And the guy who acted as an informant to protect democracy, to protect Gretchen Whitmer, he's serving the next 6.5 years in jail. Miscarriage of justice. Got some bad news for you guys tonight. I'm sorry. I get this question a lot. Why do you do it? It feels hopeless sometimes, especially when you hear stories like this. I get that it feels hopeless, but it's really not. It's really not hopeless. Compare where we are today to where we were in 1960 or even 1950 or 1940 or 30 or 20. As time moves on, as we move forward, we do progress. Society is moving forward. It's slow, and sometimes we take a couple steps back, like we did in this case, I feel, but we inevitably do take multiple steps forward. The Republican position is a losing position by default. They want to revert back to a time when things were better, whenever that was, whenever they think that was. It is inherently a losing position, in my opinion. We can't go back. We can only move forward. And move forward we shall. That's the progressive position. Society will change and grow and evolve, and we'll learn new things, and science will improve, and life will improve with it. That is how things work. As I think Barack Obama said, the moral arc bends toward justice. I know this feels hopeless sometimes. It's really not. It's really not. It feels that way. It isn't. Do you know how we improve our situation? By talking about it. By informing enough of the public in the United States that a tipping point forms, and the majority of the public wants one thing and is dead set on getting it. Spreading that idea to their friends and family, and before you know it, 55% want this thing, 60%, 70%, like gay marriage. It took a long, long time to reach a tipping point with gay marriage where more people wanted it than not, but we finally got there. And after we got there, we finally successfully enshrined gay marriage into the law through the Supreme Court. It feels hopeless. It's not. The way we win is by spreading the message so that everybody in the country eventually sees things this way. Just give it time, keep on working, do your best, and don't worry about the rest. Just keep going until we get what we want. That's it. That's all you got to do. Anyway, hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of comfort, because I know sometimes the subjects I cover are rough. They're hard to stomach. They're hard to face. I promise it's not as bad as it feels sometimes. The moral arc bends toward justice.